So Prehistoric Valley, the show that basically got me back into DinoTube, just finished. Absolutely peak finale, by the way. And Scrubwood Studios said that PV Series 4 is the last season of Prehistoric Valley. And he's also been teasing another show. In his 6th Q&A, he briefly mentioned that Tyrannotidon may appear later down the line. In his 7th Q&A, he confirms the existence of another series he's working on in the background. And these two, references from the Q&A, or I assume the first references to a mystery he has built up regarding a new a new series on its show called Redacted, known as Redacted. This was, to my knowledge, first revealed properly about 2 weeks ago, and here's a summary of everything we know about Redacted. All that might be true, some theories that I have concocted, and I will even attempt to guess its name using the scientific method. So here's all we know. Redacted is a series in the same genre as Prehistoric Valley. Redacted is not the actual name of the series, it's just a stand-in name. Redacted is still in the works, I'd guess still being filmed at this point, maybe even still being written. And then Lore Time. It takes place somewhere after 2009, presumably decades after, if I had to guess. The dinosaurs in the show were created by a company called Extension Limited. The first dinosaur they created was Iguanodon. They also eventually created Apatosaurus, Baryolipelta, Ankylosaurus, Stegosaurus, and Protoceratops. That's all we know for sure. We know from the Iguanodon document that they became more aggressive after the addition of carnivores. I wonder what the first carnivore could have been. I have a theory on that, actually. And then we know from the Baryolipelta document, it seems to imply that this valley is seasonal, specifically that it has summer, fall, winter, and spring. I presume that a few episodes will take place during each of these months, maybe even starting with spring and ending with winter to make the series darker as it progresses or something. So here's my first actual theory. So the paper we were shown mentions that Extension Limited is going to make the first carnivore. We also know that the addition of the species made Iguanodon more aggressive, so it's got to be something large. I'm thinking probably a megatheropod. And I think that this was Tyrannotidon, based purely off of the fact that Scrubwood teased that that he wanted to put Tyrannotidon in a future project. I also previously guessed that Redacted was about water animals, and that it was filmed in the 1/18th scale, just because those were both things Scrubwood told me he wanted to do at some point, but both of those have already been proven wrong, so there goes my first theory. As for characters, I'm sure we're going to have Iguanodon and Baryolipelta in starring roles. I still think that if we don't get a Tyrannotidon character, there's a high chance of seeing that species in the series. And possibly some of the other dinosaurs from the polls will appear as characters. Now for my final theory, I will attempt to guess Redacted's name using the scientific method. Okay, shot in the dark time. So, we know that the show takes place in a valley. The majority of these kinds of shows have 2-word names or 4-word names. Take Dinosaur Island or Isle of the Mesozoic kind of structure. Usually, the last word is the name of the location in a 2-word name. There are more 2-word names in this genre than 4-word names. So, to be unique, I think that this is more likely to be a 4-word name, similar style to Isle of the Mesozoic, for example. Or say Dinosauria the Lost World, something like that. There are more... Oh, wait. I'm scripted in this video. I don't usually go scripted. Damn. Okay, so let's assume that this is a 2-word one. This show takes place in a valley, but I doubt it would end with the word valley to not confuse it with Prehistoric Valley, which we know for a fact is a separate continuity from this show. I'm thinking it's either one of the many synonyms for valley. That's a trend I've noticed. A lot of shows, including mine to an extent, are just going with the Dinosaur Island naming formula, but with more complicated words. But I think a four-word one is more likely. Damn. So, what would I attempt to guess for a 4-word name? I would think, like I already said, similar to Isle of the Mesozoic structure-wise. Let's say we have the word valley in the title, which I think is very likely, but we put it at the beginning. So we'd have like Valley of the Dinosaurs or Valley of the Titans was something I came up with, and I think the odds of me being anywhere close to this are really low, but I just wanted to try to guess the name. I think it's gonna be like a four-word name where valley is the first word. Yeah, we don't really know much about this series yet, in case you couldn't tell. But I am pretty excited for it, and after how PV ended, and just based off of the like pictures he's taken and stuff, this one already looks to be higher quality than PV Series 4. So I'm excited to see how it goes.